Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program Information webinar. This is the third webinar in a three-part series. My name is Martin Menezes, and I'll be delivering today's session. A couple of housekeeping notes before we commence. Feel free to use the chat feature at any time to submit your questions throughout today's webinar. Your microphones and cameras have been temporarily disabled and will be enabled to use during the Q&A session towards the end. This webinar will be recorded and the recording shared on our website for you to reference in the future. In the event we cannot go through all the questions submitted today, or if you have any future questions on the program, its delivery, and the application, feel free to reach out to us at mrdp@ngif.ca. Today's agenda is going to be centered around the methane reduction demonstration program. We're going to go through the program's delivery, its design, and how proponents can submit an application to be considered for funding. We're also going to be giving you a quick overview on NGIF Accelerator and our collaboration with the Government of Alberta and Emissions Reductions Alberta in the delivery of this program. If you're tuning in today to gather insights on any other initiative in NGIF's innovative platform, I would advise you send us an email instead, and we'd be happy to address your queries. Helping me out today is Akhil Bhatt, who is the CEO and partner at NGIF. Akhil brings in about 2 decades worth of experience spanning across venture capital, oil and gas, and innovation, and also sits as a part of the executive team in NGIF. Also helping us out today is Denny Phillip, who leads our communication efforts. Akhil, over to you.
Thank you, Myron, and welcome everyone. As Myron mentioned, this is our third webinar for our Cohort 1 for the methane demonstration program. I do want to first begin by acknowledging the support we have received from Government of Alberta through their TARE program. For those who don't know about TARE program, it's Technology Innovation and Emission Reduction Program that runs under the Alberta government for the methane program itself. This particular program that the support we have received from the Alberta government, is investing $29 million in 2 programs to help the energy sector reduce methane emissions and develop new technologies needed to keep reducing emissions in the future. So these 2 programs are the first one is the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program, which is delivered through NGIF. And the second is the Methane Reduction Deployment Program, which is delivered through the Emissions Reduction Alberta. Next slide, please. So I believe many of you would know ERA, but a quick glance at the Emissions Reduction Alberta. ERA is one of the trusted partners of NGIF, and we have been collaborative on various initiatives, including this one. ERA have been operating since 2009. Their operating model is to provide grants to technologies for demonstrations and take energy efficiency initiatives, and they support a host of technologies to achieve broad environmental improvements. And this includes decarbonization, water treatment, methane, energy efficiency, soil remediation, and recycling. Next slide, please. Just give me a second here. So the Methane Reduction Deployment Program, which is being delivered by ERA itself, is a $22.4 million program supported by Alberta government. This is relevant for owners and operators of upstream and midstream oil and gas facilities to deploy technologies. So commercial technologies that can reduce methane emissions from the upstream and midstream oil and gas facilities would be eligible for this particular program. Next slide. And if you want to kind of learn more about this program, you can go and visit ERA's website, reach out to their application process and the applicant guides. There, you can upload them or download them for you to help. And if you have any questions, then you can also reach out to them. They have an upcoming webinar on this, which is, I believe, on January 29th. So if you want to learn more, please register yourself and have an opportunity to learn and ask any questions you might have. Okay, now a little bit on NGIF itself. So NGIF's mandate is to reduce emissions for the gas industry and help improve the economic performance. And we do this through a couple of ways. We have a for-profit venture capital firm, NGIF Capital, that offers equity financing for clean tech startups in the natural gas sector. We also have a not-for-profit corporation, NGIF Accelerator, that's based out of Calgary. And it is dedicated to advancing clean technology development, industry validation, and commercialization of startups. NGIF Accelerator runs all of our not-for-profit programs. Currently, we have two. The Industry Grants Program that we will go in more detail today. And then we also have an Emissions Testing Center program that's for the methane technologies to test and validate their solutions in a simulated environment, but also in a live environment. Next slide. Industry Grants Program, as I mentioned, is a not-for-profit program. It's industry-led that accelerates innovation through funding for development and demonstration projects. It's completely designed by and for energy companies. We have 10 NGIF industry operators who are part of NGIF, and they help adopt cutting-edge technologies that can reduce emissions and improve the environmental performance. Our funding essentially bridged the gap between innovation and commercialization, turning potential into performance. And we have committed millions of dollars in these demonstration and development projects. These collaborations have led to adoption of advanced real-world solutions by not just by our 10 energy operators, but also other energy companies across Canada. Next slide, Maya. Few kind of results to date. We have approved over the last 10 years more than 110 projects valuing more than $30 million in approved funding from NGIF with a total project budget of more than $350 million. We have seen 13 technologies through our work in market today. We have 36 projects or technologies that have moved the needle on the TRL scale. And all of that have supported a lot of jobs and patent creation. On the right, you will see all of our current members. We have Canadian Natural, Birchcliff, Tomlin Oil, and Arc Resources from upstream. And we have Fortespecie, ATCO, Enbridge Gas, Sask Energy, Apex, and Pacific Northern Gas from utilities. Next slide. With that, I will hand it over to you, Myron.
Thanks, Akhil. So like Akhil rightfully mentioned, one of the core goals of this program is to aid in reducing methane emissions in the province of Alberta. We've designed this program to facilitate that by accelerating the commercialization of impactful near-commercial methane technologies through pilot testing, field demonstrations, and various other value propositions. The Methane Reduction Demonstration Program is a $9 million funding initiative spanning 3 years with 3 fixed intake cohorts. Applicants are eligible to apply for $750,000 in non-dilutive grant funding, or up to 75% of the project's qualifying expenses, whichever is the lower amount among the two. This program is going to be focused on methane mitigation and reduction solutions, or methane measurement and quantification solutions that have the oil and gas industry as a target market. Particularly, we're looking for solutions and technologies tailored to applications in upstream oil and gas and midstream and downstream natural gas industry. Field demonstrations and first-time pilots are a huge theme in this program. And with that being said, we're only going to be focusing on TRL 7 to 9 technologies during this intake, but being a little bit more mindful that not all product roadmaps are the same. We'll also invite TRL 6 technologies to apply, as long as applicants can communicate an accelerated pathway towards commercialization in their applications. With regards to eligibility, I will talk about it with a little more granularity in a later slide, but to close the loop on this overview, it isn't a requirement that applicants are based in Alberta or in Canada. Proponents can be based anywhere in the world to apply for funding. The only geographic clause is that the demonstration and testing of your technology happen in the province of Alberta, preferably in one of NGIF's industry grant member sites. More on that in a later slide. So why do I think you should apply, and what's the value to be gained through the methane reduction demonstration program? The first is pretty much the most obvious, that there's non-dilutive capital up for grabs. What makes this program unique is that it's pooled capital coming in from the government of Alberta and from the oil and gas industry in Canada. The second value proposition is access to industry demonstration sites. Most applicants that we speak to tell us about how difficult it is to procure a testing site from one of these oil and gas companies and get them to offer something reliable for them to de-risk their technology. NGIF takes care of that for you through this program. The third value proposition is the feedback you get. The evaluators evaluating your applications are members of the oil and gas industry and are future customers of your technology. Having that adopter-centric feedback is so critical to some applicants' strategic rollouts. We've had applicants in the past who have implemented them in their rollouts, and it's fed them pretty well. The last value proposition I'd like to talk about is leveraging NGIF's network in the innovation ecosystem. We've helped open doors, make introduction, and help proponents receive more funding from either our trusted partners or other funding agencies in the ecosystem. And we want to be able to continue to do so for this program. With that being said, it should be no surprise that our initiatives are quite competitive. I would encourage everyone to take the time to craft really good quality expression of interests. And the good news is we are here to help. If you'd like to reach out to the team and set up a call to brainstorm your application before you submit one, we'd be happy to pencil that in. Do reach out to us at mrdp@ngif.ca. Shown on the screen is a list of solutions we are interested in de-risking. I just want to reiterate that the solutions that you see on the screen and in any of the intake or challenge statement documents merely serve as examples. As long as you have a methane mitigation and reduction technology or a methane measurement and quantification technology, you would be eligible to apply for the methane reduction demonstration program. In the event you question the validity or the relevance of your tech to the program, do reach out to us and be happy to address that for you. I'd also encourage everyone to read the intake guidelines document and the challenge statements for more information and to read it before you apply. Our application process is stage-gated and comprises of 3 stages. The first stage is the intake stage, and it's the stage we currently find ourselves in, and it's predominantly centered around the expression of interests. Once all the applications are received and the deadline is over, we do a thorough review on all the applications to ensure that the eligibility criteria is being met and we have all the information we need to make a sound decision. In the event we have some missing information, we will reach out to those particular applicants to address those white spaces. Once that's done, we gather all the industry evaluators in one room, collect scorecards, and make a collective decision as a group on who we want to invite for a deeper due diligence in stage 2. If you're one of the applicants that does get shortlisted and invited for stage 2, you'll be asked to submit a detailed investment proposal. For comparison, the detailed investment proposal is 50 pages, whereas the expression of interest is just 13. In addition to the investment proposal, we'll also be conducting site visits where you can orally dictate the value proposition of your technology to the industry participants. Once that's done, we collect scorecards and implement a similar exercise of gathering everyone in one room and making a collective decision on who receives the funding. Once that's done, you're conditionally approved for funding and you proceed to stage 3. If you are one of the shortlisted recipients of the grant, we will proceed to sign a formal contribution agreement with you and kick off the project through a kickoff meeting. In terms of timelines, the MRDP spans across 3 years and has 3 fixed intake cohorts, one cohort for each year the program is active for. For cohort 1, the expression of interest deadline is towards the end of January. Depending on the volume of applications we receive, we expect to announce the shortlisted applications for stage 2 sometime towards the end of March. You will have a month to submit your detailed investment proposal and we'll commence site visits shortly after. Again, depending on the volume of applications we receive and if everything is on track, we expect to announce the finalists sometime in summer, perhaps towards the end of July. In terms of eligibility, I like categorizing them in 3 buckets. So the first is the applicant. Proponents can be based anywhere in the world as long as you belong to a non-sanctioned UN country. We're also going to be inviting only small and medium-sized enterprises or startups. Our definition of both is as follows. A small or medium enterprise is an organization that employs fewer than 500 employees, and a startup is an organization that employs less than 100 employees and generates lower than 25 million Canadian dollars in annual revenue. In terms of a project, each application needs to allude to a project scope where the milestone entails advancing of TRLs and a technology demonstration. The technology demonstration needs to be in the province of Alberta and in one of the industry grant member sites. It is not a requirement for you to have a secure demonstration host or an industry partner at the time of your application. We will facilitate those conversations in the event you get shortlisted to stage 2 at the appropriate time. Circling back on the project, the maximum project length for this program should be no more than 18 months. In terms of your technology, as long as you have a qualifying methane technology, that is a methane mitigation and reduction tech, or methane quantification and measurement tech, you will be eligible to apply. We're again only going to be looking at TRL 7 to 9 for this program, but we'll also accept TRL 6 if the applicant can allude to an accelerated pathway towards commercialization in their application. For more information on this and anything else, please refer to the intake guidelines document. And if you need more help, do reach out to us through email and we'd be happy to address your queries. A common question I get is how do we evaluate applications? Given that we are industry-driven and market-centric, we look at solutions that have value to the industry today, and that's going to be relevant in the years to come. The first thing we look at is the relevance to the oil and gas industry. So what's the value proposition to the adopter of your technology? What is your greenhouse reduction benefits? What are the economics of the technology looking like in terms of CapEx and OpEx? And are you aware of the addressable market of your solution? The second thing we look at is the innovation of your technology. What's the scientific principle that drives the solution? What's the status of the intellectual property? We want to be able to see how it performs in comparisons with other competing technologies in the market and whether you have evaluated all the gaps needed to accelerate the technology towards commercialization. The third thing we look at is the project plan. We want to be able to see very clear, well-refined project baselines in your applications. One thing we particularly look at is whether the timelines and the cost of the project mirror the scope that's alluded in the application. The last thing we look at is the project delivery team. What's your track record of execution? Do you have the right number of resources? Do you have the right number of resources? And do you have the right kind of resources to execute the project scope? For more information on this, I'd also advocate you read through the intake guidelines document. Another common question we get is on intellectual property and confidentiality. In terms of IP, all intellectual property remain vested in the applicant. NGIF does not gain any property rights. The only thing we retain is the rights to use the project research results in the event you do get granted for funding. We will surface these conversations up at the appropriate time when we sign a formal contribution agreement. In terms of confidentiality, we take this quite seriously at NGIF. We are not going to be able to disclose any confidential information you share with us unless explicitly asked or when it becomes a part of the public domain. In terms of the application process, the meat of the application is the expression of interest template and comprises of 5 sections. The first is the organization details or high-level information on the organization and the project team. The second is the technology that alludes to how innovative your technology is and what stage and TRL they're at currently. The third is the value proposition and the addressable market and the end result for adopters. The fourth is the project plan, which alludes to the project baseline, so the scope, cost, and timelines. The last is the environmental benefits. How much methane emissions can you reduce given the scope of the project, in a 1-year timeline, and when it becomes commercial. To apply, head on to the NGIF website and go to the methane reduction demonstration program page and click apply here. Once again, I advocate everyone to read through the intake guidelines documents and all the other application documents on the website. It can be found on the same website page. Once you're rerouted to the online application portal, if you have applied to a grant with us in the past, you can use the credentials given to you then. If you're new to us, click register here to create an account. If you're new with us and you have to create an account, you'll be asked to submit some pretty basic high-level information on your organization and yourself. Once that's done, you're greeted with this landing page. To view the MRDP and submit an application, click on Funding Programs Open. Once you're rerouted to the appropriate screen, click on the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program Cohort 1 by clicking the Apply Now button. Once you're in the grant portal, it consists of 2 tabs. The first tab is the contact information tab and has some pretty high level information on yourself and how you heard about us. The main meat of it is in the second tab, which is stage 1. You'll be asked to submit some pretty high level information on the fields that are present there, but the main section is the expression of interest section. You'll have to click on the template, download the Word template present, populate it with the relevant information addressing to all the questions there, and upload both the Word and PDF formats in the Dropbox here before clicking submit. The expression of interest templates looks like this as shown in the screen. I would advocate everyone strictly follow the guardrails and the guidelines that the UI template entails. For more information on this, do reach out to us. And we'd be happy to help you out. Before I close loop here, if you have an approved project in the last 9 months and you still have a funding gap, that is, you don't have the necessary capital to deploy the project, the NGIF's trusted partners are shown on screen here. If you have an approved project by any one of these trusted partners, do reach out to us. You will be directly pushed into stage 2 of our application process. Similarly, if you've been approved for an NGIF funding in the last 9 months, and if you meet the eligibility criteria of this program, if you haven't reached out to us already, do reach out to us and we will push you to stage 2 again. In terms of next steps, do reach out to us if you need help or any feedback on crafting your expression of interests on your applications. ERA's MRDP webinar is penciled in on January 29th for eligible contractors. Do check it out and register yourselves. Links on their program is available on their website or on the ERA website as well. If you are a TRL 9 and you don't know what methane program to apply for, it's either with NGIF or to ERA, do reach out to us. We do need to ask you a few questions on your technology and your rollout to best advise you on what program you better suit for. Our annual Industry Grants Innovation Challenge for Clean Tech Solutions is currently open for applications. So if you have a neat application that is applicable to the oil and gas industry that can either reduce emissions, improve efficiency, or enhance safety and isn't a methane technology, you might be eligible to apply. To check it out on our website. If you are a methane technology, you might also have some value with NGIF's Emission Testing Center. Do reach out to us and we can put you in touch with the appropriate personnel there. As always, do reach out to us at mrdp@ngif.ca for any further questions. With that being said, I will open the floor to any questions and hand it over to Denny.
Thanks, Myron. While we wait for everyone to send in their questions, let's begin with the ones we already have received. The first one I think you have already covered, and I'll just point to you, Akhil. If we are already working with ERA and receiving funding from ERA, will there be any conflict?
So the ERA is funding, if you're speaking specifically about ERA's methane program, which is part of this, let's say, the broader thing we are doing here, then their ERA's kind of program is more about TRL 9 plus, while NGIF program is between TRL 7 and 9. So these are two different, let's say, programs looking at different technology development and deployment solutions. So we expect that you could recognize that and then appropriately apply to one of these competitions. But in case if you are asking about that you are already approved by ERA for a project or technology that's that's between TRL 7 and 9 and meets the other requirements of this methane demonstration program, then like Myron mentioned at the end, you might be eligible to go directly into our stage 2. But we'll have to learn more. So if you can reach out to us separately, that would be helpful and we can respond to your question appropriately.
Thanks, Akhil. The second question is from Anna. What is the source of the funds? The Alberta Treasury, for example. What's the breakdown? That is, how much is public finance versus any other source?
So we were approved for funding from the Department of Environment and Protected Areas for $7 million for the methane demonstration program. And Emissions Reduction Alberta received $22.4 million for the deployment program. These funds are matched. The NGIF funds are matched by the NGIF members, which is the industry operators, to the amount of up to $3 million. So we have $7 million coming from public funds, and we have $3 million coming from the industry.
Thanks, Akhil. When are cohorts 2 and 3 for MRDP?
Cohort 2, I believe the deadline is in September of 2026, and then cohort 3 is most likely April or May of next year. I think, Myron, if you can give exact dates, that would be great, but that information is available in our applicant guide.
Thank you. Will you be sharing we will be sharing the deck towards the end of this webinar. Thank you. So next question. What has been the historical acceptance rate?
Sorry, come again, Dini.
What has been the historical acceptance rate?
It all depends on the quality of the projects that we receive. Um, the evaluation is very competitive, and um, historically there are competitions where we had more acceptance rate, and because the quality was great. And sometimes when we don't receive the right solutions, then the acceptance rate could go down.
Thanks, Akhil. Are Canadian companies given any preference?
Yes. So this competition would be would have preference for Alberta-based companies, followed by Canadian companies, and then international companies. And with a mandate that all these solutions will be tested and demonstrated in Alberta.
Thanks, Akhil. Next question. They need some clarification regarding the definition of SME. Less than 500 employees encompasses the startup definition. If so, is there a reason for the distinction? Example, any preference or separate funding buckets for startups?
So there are no, let's say, separate buckets for startup. We recognize that startups and SMEs would be the two categories that would benefit from the funding, and that's why there are these two categories.
Also, can you confirm a company can qualify as an SME with less than 100 employees, but have higher revenue than the startup definition?
Yeah, as per the definition, that would qualify.
Next question is from Mark. How important is it for the 25% of other funds to be secured at the time of expression of interest submitted?
It's not required to be having all the funds secured at the time of expression of interest. That is not going to be a factor in evaluation during stage one.
Thanks, Akhil. Can we apply for both the categories, quantification and mitigation?
If your technology has such areas where you have, let's say, two development pieces within that, then it might be possible that you can submit two applications for two different parts of your development.
What level of technical readiness and field preparedness is most important before entering a demonstration program like NGIFs?
So this particular program is specifically for TRL 7 and above. If your technology is at TRL 6, but has a pathway for accelerated development and hitting market, then that could also be eligible. In such case, we would encourage you to please provide that rationale in your application to us. So primarily TRL 7 to 9, which is piloting and field demonstration. But if there is a technology at TRL 6 and ready to be in the market soon, then that could also be ineligible.
There's another question. Could we get support in connecting with oil and gas operators to test our technology?
So NGIF is gonna work with you to identify that. If you don't have a demo host secured, then we will be working with you to identify that through our 10 operators that we have. It is actually a requirement within the application itself that all the technologies must be demonstrated at one of NGIF's industry members. So we'll work with the applicants to get that at an appropriate time in your application. Having said that, if you already have a demonstration partner secured, please identify that in your application with the reasoning behind that, and we'll take it up during our evaluation.
Thanks, Akhil. If anyone has questions, please feel free to raise your hands and unmute yourself and ask a question. While we wait for that, we have another question. And we often receive this question about international participation. Are applicants from outside Canada eligible, and what are the program's eligibility criteria for that?
Like I said in the beginning, the preference is for the Alberta companies, followed by Canadian companies, and then international companies. So international companies are eligible, but the preference would be given as I just have highlighted. The criteria would be exactly what Myron has gone through the presentation today. The eligibilities would be same. We do want to see international applicants to have a pathway for Canadian market. So if you're applying and you're an international company, then we would like to get some information on your market entry plans to Canada and Alberta in specific. So please get that in your application as you develop those.
The question: does any in-kind contribution from the industry count in the 75% received by the NGIF, or is it only capital contribution?
The 75% is the cash contribution towards the applicants. So this particular program is offering up to 75%, representing as much as 750K per project. So it's the cash contribution that NGIF would be offering.
Can we apply to both Global Gas Innovation Call and MRDP?
You can, if these are two different technologies and they fit within the requirements of these two particular competitions. You can also have two different submissions within the same competition. So it depends on case-to-case basis to give you a very prescriptive or better guidance on that. So if you want to maybe explore more or learn more, then please reach out to us separately.
Thank you. Does SME have an annual revenue threshold like startups?
You needed to say that is annual revenue a requirement?
Yeah, I'll just repeat it. Does SME have an annual revenue threshold like startups?
No, I think that's based on the definition that you see there, and that doesn't have any threshold there.
Thank you, Akhil. Can we have testing sites at multiple NGIF IG member facilities?
That's possible, but those needs to be maybe would go in more detail, let's say, during the evaluation phase and how the project has been framed. and what are the merits of, let's say, testing at different sites. So we would evaluate that on case-to-case basis at uh, uh, at the evaluation phase.
Can multiple companies apply under one application?
So we would need one applicant to be a prime applicant, and the funding would go towards that prime applicant. On the applicant side, you could have partnerships among the different partners and have their scopes and everything aligned. That could be built into your, and clarity could be given in the application.
Thanks, Akhil. Another question. What is the funding interval or sequence for a successful applicant? 100% at the start of the program or provisioned at certain milestones?
Yeah, we provide funding based on the milestones. So however the project is framed, we will be asking for different milestones to be developed. And based on the completion of the milestones, we will be dispersing the agreed kind of payment to the recipient. What different, or one of the things that is unique to NGIF is we disperse those payments in advance. So the payment that you're going to receive will be in advance of the milestone. So as soon as you sign the contribution agreement with us, we will provide you in advance to do your milestone 1. Once the milestone 1 is successfully completed, we will and approved, we will be advancing payment for milestone 2, and so on and so forth. So that's the typical payment structure.
If we get rejected in cohort 1, can we apply again in cohort 2 and 3?
So the other thing we do is we offer debrief to the applicants who are rejected or not accepted at stage 1 and also at stage 2. And part of the debriefing would involve whether there is an opportunity for you to submit the next application or in the next cohort. So based on that, there could be an opportunity for you to submit in future, but you will probably get to know about that after, let's say, the evaluations are completed and at the debriefing call.
I see a raised hand. Eden, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. I think she's accent. So another question for you. With regards to intellectual property, can it be licensed or do applicants need to own the IP?
So we would need to see the IP arrangement done in advance. It could be licensed. All the project IP that will be developed as part of this project would rest with the applicant. So we would need to see and understand what's happening with the IP and who has the IP rights. It could be licensed, but those arrangements would need to be kind of dug deeper at an evaluation stage to understand that IP is secured and the applicant is able to take this technology to market without any IP conflicts in the future. So that's the intention behind that. If there is such scenario, then please elaborate on that in your application.
Can universities apply for funding if they meet the TRL criteria?
They can, but with a caveat that that we would like to see technology in the markets soon, and that would mean that that particular technology needs to kind of spin out into a company. So we need to see a pathway for that. So universities could be eligible, but with a pathway for them to have a spin out for this technology in near future.
Okay, we have another question. My proposal would need an in-kind contribution from demonstration host partner. Would that count in that latter 25% of the project budget?
If that's the only part remaining, then potentially yes. But then we would need firm commitments from that substantiating the value of that in kind. So that's that. We also it's not a requirement, but we do like if there is some skin in the game from an applicant also.
Okay. Would NGIF refer applications to other funding agencies like ERA or CRIN?
Yeah, we do a similar thing as part of our trusted partnership. We do refer applications based on the success of that. There is a referral program at ERA that NGIF could subscribe to. So that's a possibility.
Another question, any restrictions on applications which are part of ONAM of the industry partners in the I think there's a problem, there's a typo there. Anna, if you can unmute yourself and ask a question yourself, that would be great. Anna, you can just unmute yourself and ask the question.
I think she. So Anna, this is if I correctly understand this, if there's an applicant who is already, let's say, working with one of the industry member of NGIF and wants to submit an application, the answer is yes. Or if you're already speaking with them on certain project, then the answer is yes, that could be an application to NGIF.
Thanks, Akhil. Other question, with regards to getting referrals from trusted partners, do we get a letter from them or do we ask the team there to reach out to NGIF?
So it would be them reaching out to us specifically on a project, referring this project, whatever project, to NGIF. Once they do that, we will run this by our innovation committee and see if there is a merit for us to bring this to our stage 2 directly. So that's the pathway. The trusted partner needs to refer this to NGIF.
anyone else has any question. Last call. If you have any questions, please. Over to you, Myron.
Thanks, Denny. Thanks everyone for attending today's webinar. I think we can put a pin in this. Once again, do reach out to us if you have, if you'd like to brainstorm on your application before the deadline on 31st Jan, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.